Whether you like this or whether you don't, your brain drives your behavior. The interesting thing is neuroscience and psychology disagree in many areas. But there is one commonality of neuroscience and psychology. That is, your brain drives your behavior. And that is a critical element in trying to influence or impact someone's behavior. We must understand how the brain is involved. The brain actually drives all of our thoughts, all of those negative thoughts, and sometimes happy thoughts, and many just vanilla, empty thoughts. Our words, our actions, and actions are both things we do and don't do. Our choices and our feelings. And the brain's involved in all that. So that means your debt or your wealth, your relationships, the things that you choose to do for enjoyment, for relaxation, for work, how you handle it when somebody in front of you and you're cashing out at a shopping supermarket, and somebody cuts you off. How do you handle that? What are your words? What are your actions? What are your choices? All of that is driven by your brain. When we talk about this, please this is key, that function drives chemistry. So many people believe that chemistry drives function. That's not the case. Function drives chemistry. The analogy to help you, we've got a couple of them, but this analogy is about the hard drive of a computer or of a phone. I got my phone over here. The hard drive of a computer or the phone, that the hard drive is what operates this, not the software. So if my computer or laptop gets a virus on it, or in human terms, goes through a trauma, it may not work well. And so a virus for a computer is like a trauma for a brain, and it can cause the computer or brain, the hard drive, to go in a state of imbalance where it's not working in harmony. And I don't care what software you put on it, I don't care what you do to it, unless you upgrade the hard drive and bring it back into balance and harmony, none of the software, or in the case of a phone, none of the apps are going to work well. Same concept applies to your brain as the hard drive. This 3-pound organ is the hard drive of your master bio computer. So that's the brain. Now let's get in, because we talked about the brain drives behavior. So now let's talk about what's a behavior. A behavior can be defined simply, and I like simple things, but simply is how someone acts or what they choose to do in response to a stimulus. How do they handle an alarm clock going off in the morning? What do you do with that? That could be the stimulus, the alarm clock, and your behavior are your choices. Do you stay in bed? Do you get up? Do you make your bed? Do you leave your bed unmade? And it goes on from there throughout the course of our day. A behavior oftentimes is misunderstood. So for clarity for our coaching here, as a recovery coach, a behavior is an action or an inaction. A behavior is an action or an inaction. It's what we choose to do or not do. So the story here is, the speed limit is 25. You go by, it's 35. It really doesn't matter why you're speeding. You are speeding. That's your behavior versus intentions. Many people go, I intended to. An intention is an empty thing. And your clients are going to say this. I intended not to drink when I went to the bar. The behavior was they went to the bar and they drank. My intention was I wasn't going to eat more Haagen-Dazs ice cream. You're going to begin to hear this with family members and friends and colleagues, especially with your coachees that you work with, is what their intentions are and what their behaviors are could be very different. So what is the role as a recovery coach? We mentioned this in one of the earlier modules, but the role of a recovery coach, again, I like simple definitions, but it's to influence or to impact behavior, my choices, the things that I choose to do, or what your coachee chooses to do. And again, remember, if your job as a coach is to influence and impact behavior, what's in charge of driving behavior? The brain. So it would make a lot of sense then, if the brain is driving this, that we help the brain so it makes more positive choices. Dr. Daniel Amen actually met him many years ago at a brain conference, and he invited us to become one of his, I guess we've gone through his education program, and we're one of their affiliates for full disclosure at the Amen Clinics, but that's not what this is about. This book changed my life, actually. I thought that the brain was involved in addiction, so brain must be involved in recovery, which turns out to be true. But I didn't know about this thing called neuroplasticity until I picked up this book. Gosh, it would have been 2000 and maybe. And this is back before Amazon. You had to go into a bookstore. And this was the only book on brains. And it's Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. We could spend a weekend talking about this title. Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. First of all, let's take change your brain. You mean I can change my brain? The answer is yes. The word there is neuroplasticity. There's some other things called Hebb's Law, which we're going to get into, which is how we form habits. There's a lot of myths about how to form habits. But changing your brain is possible. Meaning, here's the good news for you, for your family, for your friends, and for your clients. Here's the good news. What you have today is not what you have to have tomorrow or the next day. At any age, you can impact and change your brain through no matter what you have done to your brain, no matter the abuse you've put your brain through, you can improve and enhance your brain tomorrow and next week and next month. My gosh, a year from now would be amazing. So the potential to do that is there. And when you change your brain, your life changes because your behaviors and your choices change. Your sleep patterns will change. Your ability to handle stressful situations will change. Your ability to think more clearly, less brain fog. The need to calm yourself of a stressful day by smoking something, drinking something, eating something, or yelling. That changes. So when you change your brain, you change your life. But this is really cool. After we wrote this, sent a copy to the Amen Clinics, and they got it to Dr. Amen. And this is his testimonial about our book, Actualized Recovery, right here. By the way, everybody who signs up on this, you'll be getting this. You treat this like your textbook, if you would. This is an absolute number one recommendation. If you want to be a recovery coach, this is a fantastic book and fantastic read. And that's not my words. Look at Dr. Daniel Amen saying, finally, somebody gets it in the world of recovery. And the brain first approach is a game changer. He understands the brain, he understands behavior, and he hasn't given a warm endorsement. This is an absolute over-the-top, amazing endorsement, which he doesn't do a whole lot of. Like it or not, your brain drives your choices. I could say it that way. Your brain drives what you choose. For your clients, your brain is choosing alcohol, marijuana, Haagen-Dazs, gambling, anger, rage, isolation and pulling away and shutting people out emotionally. All of those things that your clients will be struggling with and going through are a result of choices from the brain. We just talked about this. How might this impact your coaching? How can you leverage this to create transformations and lasting transformations? Remember, change your brain, change your life. This is a fundamental part of all of our coaching. And if you don't work here at this level of influencing how the brain fires and wires and works, which we'll teach you, if you don't do that, all of this is built on willpower, which is like a deck of cards. It's going to fall apart. Neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity means the brain is plastic. It's malleable. It constantly changes and rewires throughout life. You've already learned, most of us, I would assume all of us, have learned the two most complex skills ever for the brain to manage. Number one was learning to walk. Now, learning to walk requires, obviously, balance, coordination, strength, and it takes a while. And so the brain just doesn't know this, and you can't teach a child this by them watching you. They have to do it. And by doing it, they're engaging the brain, and the neurons start to fire. What happens, the more a neuron fires, the stronger the neuron wires. So then we go from crawling to standing and holding a table to eventually being able to do that. Now run, jump, and fly around the room. And then the parent goes, oh my gosh, that was a dad joke. But neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to rewire. And the second most difficult thing for the brain in its lifetime to learn is riding a bicycle, actually. The balance, the coordination, the pedaling, steering, awareness for safety and what's going on. Is it pavement? Is it soft dirt or gravel? What's happening here? How do I turn? All of these things are happening simultaneously, and we need training wheels at the beginning until our neurons fire enough and wire strong enough that they become dominant. So dominant that you can, actually, we just bought bikes last summer. I haven't ridden a bike in a long time. It is the most fun thing is riding a bike again, but I didn't have to relearn it because the neurons, the patterns are still there, which actually gets into changing patterns, which we'll get into later. But neuroplasticity, you're going to hear this over and over. This is one of the ways and how we rewire our brain. Ultimately, friends, love your brain. Teach your clients to love their brain. It will love you back. Remember, what is it that drives behavior? Yeah, brain drives behavior, or brain drives your choices. And neuroplasticity is the key, but it's not the only one. Neuroplasticity is the entryway into reshaping your brain and reshaping your life.